Let's talk about bakeries. Today is the 12th of July, 2023. I love to go into bakeries. I've visited so many bakeries around the world. I find myself to be a bit of a connoisseur of bakeries. How about you?
Well, I've never ever given any idea to working in a bakery, but lately, as I told you before, I've come across one and I loved it really, really much, like because it was like early in the morning and I like the peace and quiet of the early hours, and this was the only place that was open, and I kind of went in and spoke a little bit with the assistant, or who do you call that woman who sells bread, and
Oh, the
yeah,
clerk is behind the,
clerk,
yeah.
yeah. She said, "Well, we like kind of waking up early, which is sucks, but going to bed really early even harder, and but still, I loved it a lot." Because I think it's kind of coincides with my circadian rhythm, or what's that called?
Yeah,
With
circadian
who I
rhythms.
am. Yeah, with who I
Yes,
am.
yes.
I do miss it.
I'm
Maybe
actually
I'll
an
start
early
cooking.
morning person. Yeah, I like to be up early in the morning. I like to sleep in the afternoon, and I like to be up late at night. So I'm kind of an early bird and a night owl. But
Mm-hmm.
um, a,
Mm-hmm.
a bakery, working in a bakery would be so amazing. There is a famous bakery in New Braunfels, which is between Austin and San Antonio, and it's called Naeglin's, and it's that whole area is settled by German immigrants to Texas, and the bakery people will come from hundreds of miles away to get Christmas breads and Thanksgiving things, and they have just the most. I mean, like from the tip of your finger to the end of your elbow,
Mm-hmm.
strudel, apple strudel that's
Mm.
homemade in their bakery, and they mail it all around the world. I mean, um, I feel like I want to go there now. No, bakeries are great because they create a very delicious and beautiful product, and people enjoy having a slice of strudel with their coffee
And
or
also, it's sort of a meditation because I understand it's quite a physical and technical. But when you roll the dough, is that what it's called? The dough into shapes, into bread.
dough.
All
Yeah,
you use is
dough.
muscle memory, and you like do it all day long, and you don't think about anything. It's sort of a zen-like state.
Well, also, there is a bakery here in Dallas. It's called Boulangerie, and
Mm,
it's very very
French.
small. Yeah, it's French, and it's like I love the French. They are such brats. Like the French are so egocentric and they are such narcissists, but I love them. Like they're sure that they're the best country in the world. They're sure that their food is the highest quality in the world. I mean, right now all over France is burning with riots and protests, but the French love to get out there and like tear up stuff and then complain and cut off the heads of their monarchs and make pastries. I mean, I just love the French. So this place called La Boulangerie is filled with lots of expatriates who are living in Dallas. So these are like the most obnoxious people in the world. Like you go there, everybody's ordering in French, and everyone's, oh, do they want croque monsieur? Or do they want like a quiche? Or maybe they want chocolat au pain, or they want this. And like, and it's great. Everybody smells great. Everybody looks great. And then the people that own the bakery, have special kinds of ovens and cooling racks. Like it's very, very high end equipment that they're making all their stuff on. But
Well, I've
they're
I've
so
never
good.
been to France, so I can't attest to authenticity of what you have just listed. But the French
Well, I think
cooking
I
bakery is just associated with amazing croissants in my mind.
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, there's little bakeries all over, where you are, and you can go in and get a croissant, or you can go in and get a slice of strudel. Or what kinds of things did you see in the bakery that you went to a week or so ago on your early morning drive? What sort of did they have like?
Croissant
bread.
mostly. That's why I tell you that the French bakery mostly associated with croissant with me. I mean, there are many items, including chocolate and stuff, but I don't know. I when I have too much of a choice, I always like become paralyzed. We discussed that before, the paralysis analysis or analysis paralysis.
Yes,
So I
yes.
stick to croissants mostly. That's all I know about French bakery.
No, they're good. They're really good. And my friend David Anton, his mother, and I think his cousin used to work at Naeglin's. His mother has passed away, Marilyn, rest in peace. But oh, whenever he goes down to New Braunfels, he and his dad will always bring back a really, really big, beautiful apple strudel and cut off some of it for me. I like these little German Pfeffernussen. They're little. Oh, my father used to love these because I lived in Germany. But Pfeffernussen are cookies that have powdered sugar on them, and on the inside is a little bit of I don't even know what it's called, anise, some kind of a seed. It's really, I like Pfeffernussen, and I like sugar cookies, and I don't even know if they make croissants. Like
No,
they're
but you
kind
know
of
what French bread is? Because we've got like in lots of places they sell French bread. They sell kind of
the
long, the baguette.
baguette,
Uh-huh.
baguette.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the long thin
people.
type of bread. I don't know. Maybe it's a French origin. I don't know why they call it French.
Well, they call it French bread because France has created enough propaganda around it to make it seem like they've invented the baguette. But when I used to live in Turkey and traveled in Istanbul and Ankara and little small towns all over Turkey, they have these wonderful bakeries, and people will go. They'll either send their maid or they'll send some younger member of the family to go get the morning bread, and you just walk to the bakery and you get what's the equivalent of kind of a baguette, but in Turkish it's called ekmek.
Mm.
Ekmek, it means bread, and you can get like fat loaves, you can get longer loaves, but they're all that same sort of baguette texture, and you can put jam on it, or you can dunk it in coffee, or you
Yeah,
can eat it with a
absolutely. It's
salad.
very convenient to slice into pieces, but if you transport it, if you take it in a shop and you have to bring it home, back home, it doesn't fit anywhere.
Well, the other thing is that they use no preservatives because people are eating it that day. And I remember uh, when my former husband was telling me about when he was a teenage boy, he used to play soccer, in the streets. Well, whatever boys do when they're teenagers, or on a field or something, just a bunch of friends, and that he would come home and eat 5 loaves of bread. And he likes to eat, and I'm not sure how big the loaves were, but Turkish breads are very, very famous. Now there's some very fancy bakeries on Baghdad Caddesi. It's like Baghdad Street. It's kind of like Champs Elysees in Baghdad Caddesi is in Istanbul. But yeah, getting fresh bread is quite nice. So you're thinking maybe it would be sort of fun to imagine working in a bakery, and you would get up early, and then what time do they close down?
At 6 p.m., I think they're closed.
I
Quite
thought
early,
you
I must say.
I thought you said that they would close around 4.
No, that's what you said.
Oh, did I
But
say
that's
that?
not the point. That's not the point. The point is, if I'm given opportunity to work, I find the job of my choice. I would have probably. I used to. I don't know. I want to become a librarian, but now I think I would have switched to baker.
Well, what you could do is you could be a baker, and if they have like some little seating out front, you could have a little
Library.
bookshelf. Yeah, it's like a no. No. They do that. I have a friend who had a kolache shop here in Dallas, and he had
Says that
a
kolache, because kolache sounds like Russian kind of pastry. I thought maybe
yeah.
that somehow, I don't know, Turkish word like divan. We got a lot of Turkish words in our language. So maybe they're like cross-cultural.
Right. Well, this place that this guy had like long red hair, and he had like a he had a piano in his bakery, and his specialty was kolaches, and he had all this space, and so I brought in a bookshelf, and I just started putting some books there. So and then that went really, and I started hanging art there. Then I was sort of selling art out of his bakery, and then it was not a library that you would check things out. It's called just, you bring a book, you take a book. So then I started a whole section of children's books. So, a person could come in there and have like a coffee and a kolache, or like they call it pig in a blanket, is like a little piece of sausage wrapped in a roll. They call it pig in a blanket. And it was just great. It was really, really great. But God, I forgot the name of it.
The smell of coffee in the morning, also the smell of fresh baked bread in the morning is wonderful.
That is so much better than just going into an office where there's just banks and banks of people working and computers humming, and everyone's, on a deadline to try to get the next project out. I enjoyed.
Yeah, life's not fair.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed being a professor because every 3 months my schedule would change. So maybe I'd have 2 morning classes, then an afternoon class, and the next semester I'd have a late afternoon class, an evening class, and then But I always love to be up early in the morning and have a cup of coffee, even if the coffee's just brewing. Even if I don't drink it, I feel like when I'm smelling coffee, it's like, I think I'm happy. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I think you're lying.
You do?
Yeah, because there is no such notion as happy. Happiness.
Yeah, I'm happy. Just stop spoiling.
It's either I am jealous, maybe, or you're not happy.
No. I am happy. I have this really great cup that has it's a very expensive set. Where is this from? It's German, China. It's German, and it has plums on it, and it's really, really great. And I have this coffee. It's from this shop. It's called LDU. So they are Australian. 2 Australian guys moved to Dallas. And then they said, let's have a coffee shop where there's no Wi-Fi and people just talk to each other or read the newspaper. At first of all, people were saying, you're flipping crazy. Dallas operates off of everyone being on their phone and on their laptops. And a lot of shops, someone will come in and have 2 cups of coffee and stay for 4 hours and use it as their office. But this LDU, I got my coffee there. And I don't know, like maybe my son-in-law actually bought this for me, and it was ground maybe like 4 days ago. It smells great, and I am happy now. I'm going to stand on my happiness right now and put a flag on it, like when an adventurer or explorer goes to a new land and stabs a flag into the land. I'm claiming this moment for happiness. Right?
Hello?
Oh my gosh. Did you hear what I said? It was the most. You didn't hear it? It was the most amazing thing in the world.
No, but the recording, I'm sure we had it recorded because someone called me and I had to, I didn't want to interrupt you. I apologize.
Okay.
Well, can you give me the quick rundown of what you said?
What I'm saying is that I am happy, and I have a beautiful cup I'm drinking from. It's from a beautiful china set, and it's kind of like when the explorers go to find a new land and they stab their pole with the flag on it, claiming this land for Spain, claiming this land for Great Britain. I am stabbing this moment and proclaiming it a moment of happiness.
Yeah, sounds like poetry. Well, sounds like a poetry because I thought I asked you well, I wanted to ask you what does happiness mean to you, and then I've given it a little bit thought, and then I thought, is happiness a life goal or is it something else? And am I happy? And I concluded that I'm not happy, but I am rather content. I don't know if there's a difference between being happy and being content, but yeah, that's what I am. I am. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, 90%, 90 or 70% happy. That means 100% content.
No, that's good, because content means that you are finding some satisfaction in your life, a moderate level of satisfaction, and that is enough to fill your cup. I find that happiness is fleeting. There can be moments of happiness, like I was really happy, then I was talking so much, and then I took another sip of my coffee, and it wasn't hot anymore, and then I was sad.
No, that's called schizophrenia. Because if you jump from one state to another, I mean the psyche, and they call it schizophrenia. I have it.
No, you don't, because you can work. A schizophrenic.
I am good. I'm kind of a chameleon. No one knows about that.
I think you told us.
Yeah.
No. I mean, to me, schizophrenia is a psychiatric diagnosis, which means you have no contact with reality. You imagine spiders are crawling on you. I think that you're just kind of a high energy, smart guy who has a lot of ideas, and you are possibly in a midlife crisis. I don't want to make you feel bad.
No. We told you. I mean, we discussed that before. How do you feel about how you should feel about yourself should you feel once the session is over? And you said, no, you have to feel good. I said, no, not necessarily, because sometimes you feel bad, and it's better to feel bad after like our conversation, because that might mean that you achieved some goal which you work towards, or maybe you wanted to achieve or you didn't want to achieve. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just good at controlling my schizophrenia to my benefit.
Well, you show up for the session. We show up for our talks. Our subscribers check in to see how we're doing. Now, I feel like sometimes our subscribers are just listening to see how we are doing.
Let's agree that we both of us, we are stable without medication.
Yes. And I mean, like, coffee isn't medication, and alcohol isn't medication, and smoking cigars is not medication, and nicotine is not a medication, and driving too fast isn't medication. But these are mind-altering substances.
Yes. We should become doctors.
Yes. We are doctors of aromatherapy. And, I'm very excited to tell our listeners that one of our subscribers, Mark Stevens, who we interviewed a year or two ago talking about trains, he has been documenting the takedown of this bridge up in Michigan where he lives. And I'm not sure if he goes to Bakeries. I'm not sure if he drinks coffee, but fairly soon we're going to be doing an interview with Mark, and I'm going to have a nice cup of coffee when that interview takes place.
Yeah. You've mentioned Turkish bakery. I thought we discussed a little bit of French, but I thought, what can I expect in a Turkish bakery? Probably lots of sweets.
Oh, they have
goodies.
Well, Mehmet Efendi is a coffee.
I love that.
Yeah, and there's coffee houses all around the world that are like outposts. And I went to one in Brooklyn or Middletown, New Jersey, or somewhere, and it's beautifully decorated. It has all the Turkish copper and samovars, and they often have trays of the Turkish delight, that lokum, and you can get a cup of coffee, and sometimes you can buy a ceramic plate. But those are coffee houses that have like a bakery on the side. But there are bakeries that make baklava, and then there's
what's baklava? It sounds strangely familiar.
It
Is
is
it pastry?
layered. Yeah, it's layered phyllo dough that has crushed pistachios on it, and it's about the size of your.
Oh, I know what it is now. Yeah, that's sherbet.
Yeah, yeah, and you can you can get one or two pieces. Oh, in Eastern Turkey, there's lots and lots of pistachio trees. So the pistachios from Eastern Turkey, the cherries from up on the Black Sea, all of these ingredients are rounded up and sent to Istanbul, and they'll make them. They make like the lokum or the Turkish delight with rose water from, or they'll the roses come from Bursa, the cherries are from up on the Black Sea, but the baklava, it's famous. Yeah, it's famous. It's
But did you
delicious.
know we kind of spoke about the French bread, but I think I have this little shop in the corner, and they sell Turkish bread, but we call it not necessarily Turkish, but it's kind of I don't know how to describe this. It's not long like French. It's spherical. You know what Turkish bread is? I don't know what
Yeah, well, I mean,
you
there's
call it.
different. You mean pide? It's called pide. It's round, and they put gyros in it in Greece.
No, I don't know what it's called. No, Peter doesn't ring any
What's
bell.
what's what's the size of it? Take your hand and look at your hand. What's the size and shape of this bread you're talking about?
Well, let me think. That would be a size of a football ball. Is
Yeah,
that how it's called? But
yeah, yeah.
only it's not
Yeah, no, it's
like
good. Yeah,
watermelon.
like a watermelon football.
I don't know what to call this. Only sliced. Um,
Oh,
not to read.
sliced watermelon football. I think it's called in
I don't know
English.
how to. I know what it is, but when you ask me, I can't describe it. I just Turkish bread. I call it Turkish bread. I thought there is a name for it.
Okay, well, I think you've done us damage to our mind. So I believe it's probably a sliced sourdough because the outside is a little bit crispy, but the inside is kind of spongy, and you can make sandwiches out of it.
And you know what pita is? Pita or
P day we
pied?
call it. P day is what they
Pita?
call it
You call it pita?
in Turkey. And in Turkey they call it. Yeah, well, in Turkey and in Greece they call it P day, but also when it's
Hmm.
rolled out flat they call it lahmacun. They roll it flat and they put little
Yeah,
tiny
that's what
spices.
I meant. Turkish bread is probably something rolled flat. Exactly that's what I meant.
That's a lahmacun. Lahmacun, and you can get it with like little spices, little tiny bits of ground beef.
Maybe it's just kebab. No,
No,
kebab is sort of.
a kebab's on a skewer. It's big pieces of meat on a skewer.
What's skewer?
It's a sword. It's like a sword. Like imagine I'm going to
Uh-huh.
poke your eyes out with a sword.
Awful. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's what happened in the play Oedipus Rex by Sophocles. He found out that he killed his father and had married his mother, and he said, "Let me not be fit to see the world. I'm going to stab my eyes out." And so that is a famous play that I was referencing. But none of our subscribers should do anything that we're talking about in any episode. So we recommend that you keep your eyes. We recommend that you drive the speed limit. We recommend that you do not
Yeah.
go close to the edge.
Imagine that you feel like to eat kebab and is there any like place around you where to eat kebabs?
Yeah, this is Dallas. There are people from around the world that there's one kebab house that they have the gyros. It's meat stacked on a spit. It's like vertical, and it's spinning on a fire behind it. And you take
Oh
a
yeah,
big knife.
that we have too. I love that. How do you call that?
Yeah.
Kebab?
No, that's
Is
not a
it what is
kebab.
it called?
The house might be called a kebab house, but that's called a a gyros. You slice it down and you put it on the bread, and they sometimes put like a Greek sauce with, and you just walk on the street and eat it. It's like amazing.
We call it doner. When I was in Germany, it's called.
No, it is. That's
Doner.
doner kebab. Yeah, doner,
Uh.
doner, yeah, in Greece it would be like a gyros, but yeah, doner kebab. And you know it's so good? They slice it down, and then they put it on a plate, and then they put a red sauce on it. Then they put yogurt. Then they put mint on it. Then they put oil on it. With I love to make that. That's famous in some other part of Turkey. Like, you know, I'm thinking we can also do Patroma Therapy Cookbook edition and talk about different things that we like to eat. And I know that Michael in Albuquerque loves to eat, and I know that Mark, he likes pizza, he likes popcorn. He can discuss his popcorn recipes with us. I mean, who doesn't like to eat?
You know what I've noticed about kebab places? When I at least when in England, when I was in England, they're open late at night and early in the morning, whereas all the other like shops often close at 9 p.m.
Well, because that's street food. So this is a place you'd go after a movie or after a date or getting off work or people that work at night. Like that, if you're in a big city that has a nightlife, you know, some people stay late in their office, then they need to go home, but they have to commute, and the commute is 45 minutes to drive to north of Dallas, and you just need something, so you just pop into some place and you get that. I mean, or, you know, in Manhattan, there's everybody working in their big buildings, and they only have like about an hour for lunch. Like to go sit and get a table and order, it just takes too long. So you just go get some street food, and it's delicious.
Yeah, and I mean, also it's very comfy in terms of like you can still check your phone or I don't know and eat kebab and without dropping it. And do you see my point?
Yes, and also I think one of the mottos of New York is it's the city that never sleeps. In Manhattan, it's the city that never sleeps. And you know, of course, during the pandemic, a lot of the streets were empty. A lot of the little small bakeries and kebab houses were shut, but most of that's kind of up and running again. And yeah, I like those doner sandwiches because you can get it with extra garlic yogurt sauce, and like they wrap it in sometimes they wrap it in foil, but sometimes they wrap it in wax paper. Like I want to just buy 2 extra ones and put them in each of my pockets so that when I go home, I can just put my hand in my pocket and feel that there is love in the world. I have a doner in my pocket.
Do you like more? Yeah, when I was in Germany again, somehow it's very popular there. It's become European, I think. Maybe it used to be Turkish, but now everybody knows what it is. What do you like more, a French or Turkish bakery?
Okay, well, one of the things about doner in Germany is that so many, you know, in the 40s and in the 50s and in the 60s, so many Turks left Turkey to go work in Germany. So, you know, there are educated Turks, there's bankers, there's lawyers, but most of the people who were cleaning the airports and cleaning the streets and most of the lower working class people were Turkish immigrants into Germany. And then some of them, the next generation, started making kebab houses and doner houses. So that might be immigration, you know, it might be the immigrants that came into Germany. But when you say, what are my favorite? Well, you know, French food you can't eat on the go because it takes a lot of equipment. And I like a brulee, which is like a custard that's, if you have a blowtorch, you like torches and chainsaws, right?
Not particularly, no.
But a blowtorch that has fire coming out of it, you take a little ramekin that has a custard in it, and you like put sugar on the top and you blowtorch it. So the top of it is crunchy. So when you plunge your spoon into it, it's crunchy. Like I like cream brulees and Yeah, and I like bread. And what is the question?
What's deli? I mean, do you know what deli is? And I wonder what is there a difference with, like, versus bakery?
Well, a delicatessen, a lot of delicatessens were run in Houston by Jewish families and also in New York. Katz, K-A-T-Z, Katz's was a famous delicatessen that would sell sliced meats, sliced salamis, sandwiches, pickles. So it would be sliced meats made into sandwiches and mainly to go. So you go in there.
Oh, I see. You
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. I'm coughing.
Hey, the name, the coffee you said, that Mehmet Efendi, it's in English or that's how they pronounce it in Turkey?
Well, the name of Paris, we Americans would say Paris, but French would pronounce it Paris. But Mehmet
How about the
Effendi,
coffee?
yeah, Mehmet Effendi is
Efendi, yes.
the name of it. So Mehmet, and then Effendi is a polite Turkish word that means the gentleman. And so the logo on it is a mustached man kind of holding a little cup of coffee. But yeah, it's just like La Baza has its, like some people say,
Those are two brands I love. Lavaza, you call it, and Mehmet Efendi. I've recently bought one like a year ago, and I've been buying it since then. Yeah, I'm getting into Turkish coffee now.
Well, my daughter just came back from Istanbul, and she said that now Mehmet Effendi is doing cocoa. And so we made an iced coffee here in Dallas. We took a beautiful glass, kind of like a cut crystal wine glass, and we put some ice cubes in it. We put a little bit of milk. We put a shot of espresso that was cooled down, and then we put a little bit of milk on it, and then we sifted onto the top some Mehmet Effendi cocoa, and it was. I took a picture of it, and it was like an Instagrammable photo. But yeah, that Mehmet Effendi coffee is quite good.
Yeah, I told you that I've bought the Jazwa recently. Because I decided to get into making Turkish coffee at home, and I've done it like 10 or 20 times since then for the past 2 weeks. And the first time I had so much trouble with it because I've never used Jazzy. Yeah, I've decided it's time to ask you for help and to see what I'm doing wrong. And you said that and that.
Well, it depends on the size of the flame. It depends on the circumference of the bottom of the jezve compared to the circumference of the burner you're putting it on. If you're putting a little small jezve on a huge burner, and you put your hand there, you're going to burn off all the hair on your arm. So the type of the flame and the size of the circumference of the jezve. So a lot of people in Turkey will get a jezve set. One is for an individual, then there's another one a little bit bigger, it's for about 2 cups, and then there's one for about 4 cups. So let's suppose you're having a little party, you're a lady and you're having a little coffee party, and you've got picked up some baklava, and someone's bringing over lokum, and someone brings some flowers. You might use the jezve that could prepare 4 cups, and then you serve the 4 cups of the Turkish coffee. So, you might graduate into a jezve set. Are you having a lot of coffee parties with friends?
None. I didn't even know such thing exists. But I used the Jazzy this morning. I thought, well, I tried to heat it. Oh, I always heat it. I have this flat top stove, but I've seen many videos on YouTube, and still I'm having trouble getting my coffee to foam up consistent, because there should be a white foam all over the top side. Because in my case, it either boils over and just becomes a little bit beer, or it just doesn't foam up, depending upon how high I set the heat.
if you have a flat top stove that has no real flame on it, it's just
No,
like an electric
it's a
paper.
disappointment. In my like fallout shelter in the wood, I have a gas lighter.
Yeah, that'll
That's
work.
much better.
That will work
I'm trying.
because
I'm gonna try that.
the Jezbay needs a real flame on it, not just an electronic source. Because what's
Yeah, that's
happening
what
is
I concluded too.
what my friend Alex has been remodeling his mother's house, and I was over there one day, and he was trying to warm up something, and he has one of these. His mother has in her house a very beautiful, the flat top stove that has it's all electronic, and he was trying to warm something up, but you can't do anything on it because he had it. It was just like awful. I like a real stove with a real flame. And right now, I don't have the gas stove. The place I live right now has the coiled. There's no flame, but it's a coil, and it's also easier to control. But yeah, I think that you would do really well doing the Jezbay on an actual gas stove because you can see the flame and you can lower the flame to be. You want like a lower flame, not too low, but you want it to boil enough, and then you turn the flame down because there's still heat in the Jezbay.
Yeah,
It's
but how do
actually
you like
fun.
your coffee? Is it supposed to be a little bitter?
Well,
Turkish coffee.
well, the way people drink Turkish coffee is either shakerli or shakersuz. So when you go around and you say, well, how do you want yours? Shakerli means put a couple lumps of sugar in it, and shakersuz means I just want it black. So when you're making the coffee, it depends on the ratio of the grounds to the water. So if you're putting in too many grounds of coffee and there's not enough water, it's just going to be so bitter and thick. And it's not going to foam up because it's too thick. It's too much like mud. Is it sort of like mud?
Sorta.
So I would do a little bit less of the grounds, a little bit more of the water, and then just stand there and watch it and let the coffee talk to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking how many videos I've watched, and we discussed this with you a few times. It's crazy how much work we put into this for something that's brewed regularly in most households in Turkey without giving a single thought to it.
Because they all grew up with it. Their aunts, their uncles, their cousins. Everybody has summer houses. In the summer houses, they're doing it. When their friends come on holiday, they're giving them jezbays. They're going back to the United States or France or Sweden or Stockholm. And they come from a tradition like this friend of mine named Vladimir, who lives in Lyon, France, who I don't know if he's subscribing or not, but he left Lyon about 2 weeks ago to Cappadocia for a balloon festival to fly over in balloons, hot air balloons over Cappadocia. And the only thing he wanted, he's in Turkey. He wanted a flat white like they make in Paris and Lyon. And the only thing they were serving, it was like Jezve coffee. And he was very frustrated because he couldn't get his style of coffee from France. But, coffee is very personal. It is, people like it. Some people like soy milk and some people like no milk and some people like 2 spoons of sugar. But I don't know. I think coffee and bakeries are great. People get together or they just pop in by themselves and have a moment. I'm feeling very happy.
Yeah, you said that. I heard you the first time. No, I'm thinking, what if I put into my coffee some spices? Spices? Yeah, like cinnamon. You ever tried that?
Well, in New Orleans, they put in chicory. It's like kind of like the bark of a tree, chicory. I think we talked about beignets and donuts, but yeah, you could spice it. Also, when you're sprinkling it, like sometimes I'll sprinkle something on top of the jezbe, thinking I'm putting it in the jezbe, and like sparks are coming off the 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 flame area because that's now on fire. Like this could be very dangerous. Like if you turn around to like check your cat, or you turn around to go answer the door, and you leave this stuff alone for like 4 minutes, like your whole kitchen could catch on fire. You have to be careful.
Yeah. Well, it's surprisingly, they've been making coffee like for the past 2,000 years. Basically, it's 200 years tradition, and we're discussing like the first time ever.
Well, I think that was one of our very first episodes. There's a first time for everything. A couple of years ago, we started Petroma Therapy. Then we talked about where does good and evil come from, and then we talked about don't think about cookies. We made an episode about coffee, but well, I mean, it's fun to try new things and to get a new coffee maker or to try a new style of coffee. And I don't know, I think sometimes living is fun.
Would you want to wrap it up? Because I think that's a good point to do that. Or would you like to continue and talk a little bit more?
I'm not ringing the bell, but I'm holding the bell. And this is a bell that is actually, I think it's from Turkey. And it's got some carvings on it.
You told you have, my Jazzy had lots of carving on it. You have a second bell in your vicinity. Can you ring them both?
The second bell is in my car because that's my go-to bell for when I'm like in my car. Then the other ceramic bell I have left over at the lawyer's house because we were tracing the circumference of the bell on some art paper. So at the moment, I am currently with just a single bell.
Well, it was nice talking to you, and stay safe, and talk to you soon. Ring the bell, please.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.